The war for Sarah starts up anew on October 11, 2016, when Gears of War 4 finally hits Xbox One and PC. There's a lot to know about the new Gears game, which is why I'm here to help break down the 10 things you need to know about Gears of War 4. Number 10, it's developed by the Coalition. It's important to note that Gears 4 will not be developed by Epic Games, the developers of the first 3 Gears of War games, nor will it be done by People Can Fly, who made, in my opinion, the underappreciated Gears of War Judgment. Instead, it'll be the first mainline game in the series developed by the Coalition, who used to be called Microsoft Vancouver and then Black Tusk Studios. They've had a bit of a tumultuous history as a studio, being closed down in 2012, then reopened several months later with the announcement that they were going to be developing a new franchise that they hoped would become the next Halo. That plan was put on a shelf though, and instead, when Microsoft acquired the rights to Gears of War from Epic Games, along with Gears executive producer Rod Ferguson, Black Tusk Studios became the Gears of War team, eventually changing their name to something a little more closely related to the Gears of War universe, the Coalition. Ultimately, this may not be the same team that gave birth to the Gears franchise, but it is a very talented team made up of industry vets, including Rod Ferguson, and they've already got their feet wet with the franchise by creating Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Number 9, let's talk about the story. Gears 4 takes place 25 years after the events of Gears of War 3, so let's throw up a big spoiler warning and talk about what that means. Alright, so in Gears 3, the heroes utilize a device created by Marcus Phoenix's father, Adam Phoenix, to eradicate the Locust and Lambent by specifically targeting living beings with a high level of emulsion. The good guys win, the guy gets the girl, Carmine lives, and humanity finally gets what it had been wanting.
Tomorrow, Marcus. We finally got it tomorrow.
Or so you'd think. We don't know much about the how or the why Sarah is once again under attack from a new race of violent beings, this time known as the Swarm, but the peaceful Sarah that seemed to exist at the conclusion of Gears of War 3 was definitely only temporary. The device that killed the Locust also depleted Sarah of its supply of fossil fuels, leaving the remaining few 100,000 surviving humans left in kind of a bad spot. Most humans decided to gather inside walled-off cities under COG rule, while others, known as outsiders, live outside the city walls. Unfortunately, other details are scarce. We know that we'll be in control of JD Phoenix, the son of Marcus Phoenix, and that he'll be joined by 2 other characters, Delmont, Del Walker, and Kate Diaz. We'll talk about them a little more later. We also know that in age, Marcus Phoenix will return to play some sort of prominent role. Finally, Gears 4 also takes a nod from the TV series 24, as its entire story will play out over the course of 24 hours. Number 8, the weapons. Gears is a series built upon gunplay and weapons that hit that sweet spot of visceral satisfaction as you're drilling shots into an enemy's head, blowing them to smithereens with a shotgun, or slicing them in half with a chainsaw bayonet, and Gears 4 looks to continue that tradition. The 2 new guns that have been revealed are the drop shot and the buzzkill, both of which add some pretty exciting options to the gameplay. The drop shot is actually very similar to the digger weapon from Gears of War 3, only instead of burrowing underground only to pop up and explode, the drop shot fires a drill that gets lobbed into the air and flies straight as long as the player holds down the fire button, and upon release, it will drop down and explode after digging for a brief moment. Skilled or lucky players can actually have the drill go directly into an enemy's skull and blow it up with a satisfying pop on a direct hit. The buzzkill is a personal favorite of mine as it reminds me of some of my favorite weapons in other games like the Ripper from Unreal Tournament and even the Buzz Blades from Ratchet & Clank. Basically, it can fire a ton of buzzsaws that can bounce around a room, cutting anything in its path, including you. That's right, it's a weapon that you need to be extremely careful with as it's super efficient at cleaning out rooms, but if you get too crazy and fire too many blades in a tight room, chances are it's gonna clear you out as well. Number 7, close cover combat. Gears 4 isn't just about shooting stuff in the face, it's now also about stabbing things in the face, thanks to a new combat knife that players will have at their disposal, in addition to several new moves that will actually help them make use of it. First off, there's the vault kick, which allows players to run to a piece of cover, press B, and seamlessly vault over it, kicking anyone on the other side to stun them and open them up for a stab through the neck. Players on the receiving end of a vault kick have a small window of opportunity to counter it by pressing B at just the right time, making the technique a bit of a risk versus reward maneuver because if it gets countered, you can pretty safely expect to get shotgunned in the face. Another new trick is a yank, which allows players who are already in cover to literally yank someone on the other side, stunning them, and once again opening them up for a stab in the neck. Like the vault kick, this too can be countered with a precise press of the B button, so if the enemy is waiting for it, it could be a very dangerous technique to use. And number 6, let's revisit the Swarm. Now, as I said earlier, we don't know a lot about the history of the Swarm, but we do know several different types of enemies that we're going to be facing, and the honest truth is, they're a lot like the Locusts, with some twists. First, we got these small crawly enemies known as Juvies, which no doubt will evoke memories of wretches from prior Gears games. Their little twist is that Juvies may emerge from small pods that can be used as cover, but the pods will pop if they absorb too much fire. In addition to that, Juvies can also let out a scream that can pop all pods in the vicinity. The standard human-sized swarm enemies will also seem familiar to Gears fans. You've got your standard drones, your grenadiers, snipers, and hunters. Perhaps the most interesting of the currently revealed enemies in Gears 4 so far is the Pouncer, which is a giant armored four-legged beast that can fire razor-sharp quills from their tails and are especially adept at, well, pouncing. Their bellies are their weak spot, and it seems like crafty players will be able to find ways to either blast it when they pounce, or flip them over and cut a hole in their gut with a chainsaw. Number 5, you can active reload with a full magazine now. Active reloads have always been an integral part of the Gears games, with players being able to time a reload perfectly to gain a damage and stopping power bonus on their bullets. But in the past, it always had to be a reload. Now, players can preload special bullets on a full magazine to make sure every shot will have powered up bullets. It's also important to note that perfect active reloads are actually on a cooldown timer now. So, after powering up your bullets with a perfect active reload, you'll only be able to get poor or good reloads until the meter next to your ammunition refills. Number 4, 3 new main characters. We mentioned the fact that we're going to be playing as 3 new main characters in Gears 4, but let's go over them and learn a little more about them. First off, we have James Dominic Phoenix, the son of Marcus Phoenix and Anya Shroud, and named after Dom from the original trilogy. Phoenix is described as an idealist who ran away from home at a young age to join the militia, only to go AWOL after an as-of-yet unrevealed event that we will no doubt learn more about as the game goes on. JD is voiced by Liam McIntyre, who people may know as Spartacus from the Star series of the same name. Then we have Delmont Walker, who's JD's best friend ever since the two were in boarding school together. When JD ran away to join the militia, Del followed suit. The two have a very deep friendship, no doubt reminiscent of the camaraderie shared by Marcus and Dom in the original trilogy. Del is voiced by Eugene Bird, who most recently played Boomer in Battlefield Hardline. And finally, we have Kate Diaz, played by the incomparable Laura Bailey, who you may know from, well, everything. She's in everything, and she's amazing. No, I don't have a crush on Laura Bailey, shut up! Kate is an outsider, which means she was born and raised outside of the walled cities that protect humanity. She has no idea what the coalition of ordered governments is or how it works, and the player is kind of exposed to the world through her, as they are just as in the dark as she is. In one of the E3 demos, her and JD are seen working towards saving her mother, who is one of the surviving leaders of the group of outsiders. Number 3, multiplayer. Let's just do a deep dive into multiplayer. The Coalition has said that Gears 4's multiplayer is being given the most attention than any other prior game in the series, and is actually being co-developed by Splash Damage, the developers of Quake Wars, Brink, and most relevantly, Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Multiplayer will run at 60 FPS, and it has also been announced that it will utilize dedicated servers, which is basically the best 1-2 combo you can hope for in a competitive shooter. A lot of the other stuff we've already talked about. You've got active reloads with a cooldown timer now, the ability to active reload with a full magazine, and there's close cover combat with the combat knives, of which each faction has their own unique one. In addition to that, the Coalition is making a big push for esports this time around, but without making the game unfriendly for the casual audience. And finally, and probably most importantly, Horde mode will return. Number 2, co-op. Gears 3 set the bar as high as it could as far as co-op goes by introducing full 4-player co-op through the entire campaign. Gears 4 will not be doing the same. Only 2 players can play through the campaign of Gears 4 cooperatively, with one player always playing as JD, while player 2 takes control of either Del or Kate. There will be points where the team must split up and the story will have subtle differences depending on who player 2 is playing as. It is also important to note that Gears 4 will be playable entirely in split screen. I know, right? A AAA title with split screen cooperative play in 2016? It's almost unheard of, but Gears 4 is going back to a feature that truly made it special back when Gears 1 came out. And finally, number 1, it's part of Xbox Play Anywhere. Gears 4 will be part of the first wave of games in the Xbox Play Anywhere lineup, meaning that buying the game on the Xbox One will get you a copy of the game on a Windows 10 PC, and you can play any of the multiplayer modes across Xbox One and PC platforms. In addition, you can also play the game on your Xbox One and then pick it up right where you left off on another Xbox One or PC. That's super cool. You're essentially getting 2 copies of the game for the price of one. And Gears 4 is definitely the best game to lead that charge of this this new initiative that Microsoft is heading. And there you have it, 10 things you need to know about Gears of War 4. Are you guys looking forward to this new beginning of a beloved franchise? We want to know what you think, so let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed already, now is a great time because we here at gameranx have new videos ready for you every single day. Thanks for watching. This has been Mitchell from gameranx. You can find me at Jurassic Rabbit on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.